This is a ski slope on top of a power plant. It's not a concept. This building burns trash, powers the city, and somehow becomes one of the most beloved public spaces in Denmark. This wasn't designed to look cool. It was designed this way on purpose. Every city depends on a building no one wants to talk about. They don't appear on postcards, and they're not a part of the skyline we brag about. But without them, nothing else works. Power plants, waste facilities, they sit quietly in the background, making everyday life possible. Lights turn on, homes stay warm, and cities just keep moving. So we treat them like necessities, not responsibilities. We build them fast, we build them cheaply, and then we do everything we can to forget that they exist. People associate these buildings with pollution, with danger, with everything that feels outdated about cities. Even when technology improves, the image never does. But Copenhagen doesn't have the luxury of hiding anymore. It's a very dense city. The land is very valuable. Every square meter matters. The unavoidable waste question. And then there's the part that nobody likes to think about. Trash doesn't just disappear when you throw it away. It piles up, has to be processed, and it has to happen close to where people live. For decades, the solution was simple. Build a plant, push it to the edge of the city, and surround it with fences. So Copenhagen asked a different question. What if infrastructure didn't have to be hidden? What if the building everyone ignores becomes the building everyone uses? When Copenhagen needed a new waste-to-energy plant, the brief was simple. It had to be different, clean, and powerful enough to serve the entire city. But Bjork Engel's group asked a different question. The question that changed everything. This project starts with pure logic. Inside the building, the machinery is organized from tallest to shortest, not for appearance, but for efficiency. Instead of hiding that shape, the architects asked a different question. What if we didn't waste this form but used it? By tracing the silhouette of the machinery, the building becomes a slope, and that slope becomes a public connection from city to roof, and back down again. Once form was set, the building began working on multiple levels at once. Rainwater is collected on the roof and reused for irrigation. Daylight is pulled deep into the building through light sleeves, and warm air rises naturally through an atrium, creating a ventilation without mechanical force. This isn't decoration, environmental performance built directly into the architecture. Below the slope is a fully functioning waste-to-energy plant. Trash enters here and is burned here and converted into heat and electricity here. Nothing about this industrial process is compromised. The architecture doesn't soften the machine, it wraps it. Denmark already treats waste differently than most countries. Only a small percentage goes to landfill. The majority is recycled or converted into energy. This building isn't an exception. It's the physical expression of a national system. Here is the irony. People in Copenhagen regularly travel hundreds of kilometers to ski slopes, no taller than this roof. So instead of sending people away from the city, the mountain comes to them. In this system, the waste isn't a waste. 400,000 tons a year become electric for hundreds of thousands of people and heat for their entire neighborhoods. The city feeds the building, and the building feeds the city right back. This makes the impact tangible. A few kilometers of trash equals hours of light, hours of heat, everyday life powered by what we throw away. At 100 meters tall, this building quietly joins Copenhagen's skyline. It's as tall as the city's most important landmarks, but unlike them, this one works. Access is simple. A single elevator brings visitors straight to the top. From there, the building guides you right back down, not through the corridors, but across the roof. And the roof isn't just for skiing. It's a park, it's a hiking trail, a climbing wall, a piece of landscape suspended above the city. Even a smokestack becomes a message. Each ring represents 1 ton of CO2 released. Invisible pollution made visible. Architecture as accountability. There is no traditional visiting center. People come here to ski, to walk, to climb, and only then become curious about what's happening underneath. Learning not forced, but discovered. The building is wrapped in a continuous aluminum facade. It softens the industrial scale and unifies the entire form into one readable object. These facade bricks also act as planters. From a distance, the building reads as a green mountain, a natural form growing out of the infrastructure. The roof geometry is inspired by real ski landscapes, not abstract shapes, but actual terrain people can recognize and enjoy. The result is alpine skiing in the middle of a flat city all year round. In the end, the plant does exactly what it was built to do. Every day it takes what the city discards and turns it into energy. It heats home, it powers lights, it quietly serves millions of people without spectacle. Nothing about that is radical. What is radical is that it doesn't ask to be hidden. There are no fences pushing it away, no buffer zones pretending the problem is somewhere else. The city doesn't turn its back on this building, it lives with it. Above the machines, people ski, they walk. They stop, they look out, they spend time. Not because it's a novelty, because it belongs to them. At Copenhagen, waste is no longer invisible. Energy is no longer abstract, and infrastructure is no longer something that the city pretends not to see. This building doesn't decorate the problem. It doesn't distinguish it. It doesn't push it forward. It doesn't push it further away. It makes responsibility visible. And in doing so, it changes how a city lives with the consequences of its own life. Cities are not defined by the problems they create, but by where they choose to place them. What we hide, we never take responsibility for. What we push away, we stop thinking about. But when consequences are made visible, when they are placed back into daily life, they begin to change how we live with them. Design doesn't erase responsibility. It decides whether we face it alone or together. Is architecture a spectacle? It's a playful game. And for the residents and visitors of Copenhagen, this game is a reality which serves form or function. So as the saying goes, life imitates art, or in this case, does the art imitate life? Architecture isn't a spectacle meant to be admired from a distance. It's the framework we all live inside of, the shape of our habits, our values, our compromises. Every building makes a choice for us about what we see, about what we hide, and about what we're willing to live with. So the question was never whether life imitating art or art imitating life. It was always about whether our cities reflect the lives we're prepared to take responsibility for. Cities are made of systems we rarely notice. They heat our homes, they power our lives, they carry the weight of everything we throw away. For a long time, the solution was distance. Build it far away, hide it behind walls, pretend the consequences live somewhere else. And this is what happens when a city decides not to look away. The systems that sustain it becomes a part of daily life, not hiding, but it's shared. Here, infrastructure isn't a backdrop, it's a place where people move, a place where people use and understand. Because when the consequences are visible, they stop feeling abstract, and when the responsibility is shared, cities begin to change how they live within themselves. This isn't architecture as a spectacle, is architecture as honesty.